Sky News with Samantha Simmons.
Has appealed to the EU and the US to recognise independence, but Serbia are outraged at imminent loss of territory, threatening to impose sanctions if independence is declared. At the same time, Kosovo have set themselves up for a showdown with Russia, who warn independence could set a dangerous precedent to separatist groups around the world. Well, this is the scene live in Pristina. Away from the celebrations, the Kosovan parliament is holding a vote. Well, when that's finished, there's due to be a declaration of independence read out on Kosovan television. Joining me in the studio is Ralf Gjoni, Albanian commentator and director of the Mjaft club in London. Ralf, you've been with us for the past half hour now. You've been following these events. Is the vote about to take place imminently, do you think?
It's actually very interesting. The president of Kosovo, Fatmir Sejdiu, has just finished his speech. A very emotional speech because he's just called Kosovo the Republic of Kosovo. It's the first time that Kosovo is being called that name amongst the international news. Basically, he said that we aspire for a democratic Kosovo. We would like an integrated, and we will work very hard for a future in Europe, so an integrated Kosovo in Europe. And the priority for the government of Kosovo in the next few years will be the implementation of the Ahtisaari plan, which has been the framework of operation in Kosovo for the independence.
We know that the EU and the US have indicated they will, of course, recognise this independence. Do you expect that to happen within minutes after the vote, or will that take some hours, do you think?
Well, I think most EU countries, the US, probably the United Kingdom and France, the main players in the European Union, will recognise or will offer some form of recognition in the next days or so.
And what do you think will happen with regards to the UN? Because crucially, no UN vote has been passed, and that is very important at the moment because Russia are clearly upset about this and they do not want to recognise Kosovo independence.
Right. Well, I mean, as soon as the EU mission in Kosovo takes place and is in operation, I think the UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon will be sort of obliged to declare the end of the UNMIK. So absolutely, it's a fait accompli, and then the UNMIK will transfer power to the EU officially over the next 2 or 3 months. So this will be a parallel process with independence recognition. So basically, in effect, Prime Minister Thaçi has just declared independence, and we are faced basically with the newly formed, the newest state in the family of European nations, the Republic of Kosovo.
A historic day, and Prime Minister Thaçi there, clearly aware the eyes of the world are watching.
The aspirations of this government of Kosovo is that the Ahtisaari plan will provide the framework of operation for the independence. NATO will secure and guarantee military presence in there and borders of Kosovo. The EU will help with governance, and the government of Kosovo will continue to work in cooperation with these international structures to secure a democratic and stable future for the citizens of Kosovo. And EU integration, because the EU integration is seen as the only way, the only viable solution to guarantee peace in the region.
As you say, the 14,000 NATO troops are in the country at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate they'll have to keep that level?
Actually, it's 16,000, and the UK has also indicated that they are ready to send a few hundred more troops if needed. And when we talk about trouble and violence in Kosovo, it's very important not to forget 16,000 troops of NATO in the country.
We have seen a steady trickle in recent months of many Serbs leaving the country. Do you anticipate that will grow, more Serbs trying to leave, get out?
I'm not sure where you got that statistic, basically, that Serbs are leaving the country. I mean, certainly the government of Kosovo and the majority of the Albanians are not encouraging Serbs to leave the country. I hope that does not happen for the sake of integration. I hope the Serbs learn how to integrate within a democratic Kosovo. I have to emphasize in here that the Albanians do not want the Serbs to leave. They are more than welcome to live in a free and democratic Kosovo. One thing is for certain is that I don't believe that the government of Kosovo will treat the Serbs the way the Milosevic and the Serbian regime treated the Albanians when they were a minority in Serbia in the past.
But they will be very closely monitored to make sure that they are treated equally.
Absolutely, and they are welcomed. The international community is welcomed, and that's what the Prime Minister is saying at the moment, that they are welcome to come and monitor us.
Unfortunately, there has been in the past, some 4 years ago, there was some ethnic tension.
There was some ethnic tensions in Mitrovica, absolutely. No one was happy about them. I hope that these ethnic tensions will be muted in the future. But I have to say, Serbs need to integrate into Kosovo, and that's the best way for them to secure a very peaceful future within the new state.
Well, let's talk about Serbia, because obviously they've made no secret of the fact they do not want this to happen.
Absolutely.
But as far as Serbia is concerned, this could indeed precipitate a political crisis there. There's a nationalist prime minister, and there's a newly elected president, Boris Tadic, who is very pro-Western. So how is that going to play out in the coming days?
Well, I mean, it's very, very interesting, isn't it, what happened in the past month during the Serbian elections, where we had a very nationalistic leader like Nikolic that nearly secured the presidential elections. I mean, it's horrible, actually, that Serbia has not been able to build a proper non-nationalistic government in its country, and I think this is at the heart of the problems that we've experienced in the region over the past 20 years. I think myth, history and reality have mixed, they are so integrated in Serbia that they have not been able to wake up to the reality and accept a proper EU integration. I think it's very important to say that Serbia is at a crossroad. Its citizens need to decide where they want their future to lie. Do they want the European integration, or do they want to ally with Russia? Do they want to be an enclave of Russia in the Balkans when all their neighbors are now integrating into the EU structures? To me, that does not make sense. I believe, and I have to emphasize, the Albanians have made their choice. You can see them. They've made a choice to integrate in Europe. Serbia has to make the same choice if we are to have long-standing peace and stability in the region.
Let me just tell you that they have now voted in favour of declaring independence from Serbia. So the news that you are expecting, but
absolutely,
no doubt are delighted about.
Absolutely, I'm extremely delighted. It's a very, very special moment. It's a historic moment in the history, not only of Kosovo, but of the region. We have a new state born today, the Republic of Kosovo. And to be honest with you, to put it in the street language, and in the parliament, well, in the street language from Kosovo, I don't think anybody right now in Pristina cares what Vladimir Putin or Russia says or thinks. I don't think anybody is caring about what Belgrade is saying. I think this is a day of joy for the Albanians. Finally, they can get on with their life, tackle real problems that are affecting their everyday lives.
Well, let's talk about, as you say, that it's all about the people, really, at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We've seen the politics, but it's these people we're looking at, thousands and thousands on the streets of Pristina, celebrating the news that they've been waiting for, as you say, for decades.
Absolutely.
How is this going to translate into reality? Is it going to be a new dawn tomorrow? Are things going to look differently, or is it just going to feel different? How soon will they start feeling any changes?
I think, well, the euphoria will go on for days to come, obviously. The festivities will go on. The Albanians in Kosovo will be excited. I think this is where the main challenge lies, really. I mean, this is today, at this moment, this is where Kosovo needs to face its problems, its challenges for rebuilding its country. I mean, there is 44% unemployment in Kosovo. There are a lot of issues, social and political issues to be tackled. I mean, Kosovo still does not have a very, very strong institutional structure. So that's why the EU and NATO will be there, and that's why the new government, the newly elected government of Kosovo, will be there to cooperate with this international structures and the EU force in the country to secure. And you're right, it is about the life of the everyday people in Kosovo. They will look up to their government, but at least today, with an independent Kosovo, they can look at their Prime Minister Thaci and in 1 year's time say to him, Prime Minister, I elected you, I voted for you, and I expected this from you, and you haven't done it. This is a democratic process that takes place in Albania, that takes place in the UK, in Spain, in France.
Clearly a historic day. He's going to be a very popular man today,
Absolutely.
At least. But how is he seen generally in the country? Is he, most people support him?
He's known to be a man of his word. I mean, he's a very, very tough man when it comes to work. He's a very hard-working man. And he's also got a very, very well-qualified team. Several of my very good friends are in his government now. Young people. I mean, I have a very good friend of mine that recently graduated from the London School of Economics that is in his team, working with all the youth structures of his party and of the government, basically. So he is a man that will get on with the political reality in Kosovo. He's not a man of just political rhetoric. And I hope that he works very hard in the next few months and years to come for its citizens and keep the promises that they've given to the citizens of Kosovo. I mean, this is where the real deal happens. this is where the citizens need to look up to their government and hold them to account for what they've promised to them during the election.
And in a sense, the hard work begins now.
Absolutely. This is the challenging part of Kosovo. I mean, this declaration is just, well, it's a symbolic day, obviously. It's a fantastically great day for the citizens of Kosovo, but the real work starts tomorrow.
Okay, Ralf, thank you very much for joining us. This is The Scene live in the Kosovan Parliament as the country declares its independence in the last few minutes. More coverage of that coming up at the top of the hour.